OTAs this week. Football is back almost officially, not fully, but just enough. Just a little bit of a taste of football being here and some things that we can talk about. We can definitely talk about OTAs. We can talk about the press conferences afterwards. We can talk about anything that you want to talk about because it is your night. It is open mic night, which means it's your night to take over. We're going to get to it all next. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And as I said, it is open mic night. So the way this works, link is pinned to the top of the chat. We'll talk as long as you want until the backstage starts to fill up. And then we go to the 5-minute timer. So you'll have at least 5 minutes to get your takes off, bare minimum. I always say it, but call in early. Get in, get out. So that way you don't have to wait. Usually very early on, it's sporadic, and then it starts to pick up as the show goes. So make sure that you get in, you get out, you get your takes off. Link pin to the top of the chat. This week has been all about OTAs. That's what we've been discussing. That's what everybody's been discussing. And I'm sure that you have been in the chats and have plenty that you want to talk about. Maybe you've ran through some super chats and what have you. And so now it's your night to sound off. You let me know what you think. So I was going to go to Hadiz, but it didn't look like he was ready. He's been bouncing in and out of the back. Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay. All right. We're going to go to Hadiz first. Then we're going to go to Mansa, and then we'll see after that. Let's go. What's up, Hadiz?
How's it going, Jesse?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Oh man, it's been a fun couple of days recently about the dink and dunk and whatnot at the quarterback position. I
You notice I didn't talk about it. I avoided that situation.
I thought
it was interesting.
It was an interesting conversation because it really depends. I think Ryan said it the best. It really depends on what your definition of dink and dunk is.
Yeah.
And I agree with him to a certain extent. I don't think Brock Purdy is a dink and dunk quarterback, but I could be wrong. But I just want to talk about the quarterback situation real quickly, and then I want to talk about the kickers because I think. Oh, my bad. I wanted to real quickly talk about the quarterback situation. I went and took a deeper look at the stats, and after like 30 minutes of watching film, I've learned nothing. Because both quarterbacks to me look damn good, except for Sam Darnold. He's kind of outside the circle. Brock Purdy looks damn great to me. Trey Lance, when I saw his highlights and what he has to offer, I think he's damn good. But to me, it goes back on talent and what he can produce. And I think Trey Lance has that edge over Brock Purdy as well as Sam Darnold. The problem is he hasn't been given a fair chance to show off what he can do. Because the sample size we got from Trey Lance is small. And it's really upsetting because I thought this year was a developing year for Trey Lance. How I want to say this is I believe Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback for week 1. But I don't know how he'll play week 1 because I really hope the Niners don't use the quarterback power system. But I want to...
You're back. You're good.
Oh, I'm good? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
I wanted to pull up some stats. With the quarterback power system, do you think the Niners, if Trey starts, should use that system or they should use a new system?
Well, I think they should do what they would do with Brock Purdy or Sam Darnold. Trey has proven that Trey's proven that he is a scrambling quarterback. He's not a running quarterback. So I think regardless of the quarterback, they should roll with what they do best. And that's the system they should run. So, and that's regardless of any of them. I think they can all run it.
So let's say Trey is used as or let's say Trey's put in a situation Brock was put in, do you think he would be stat padding or be a little bit better than Brock, or do you think he would be at the same level as Brock?
I don't know. It's hard to say week 1 where he's at because I think that Trey Lance week 1 versus week 18 would be 2 completely different players. And so, I mean, I think stat wise, I think like overall yards and things like that. Yeah, I definitely think that he would have more because you're going to add in the rushing. Really, Brock only averaged like 190 yards passing. So, yeah, he would have better stats, but is the offense ticking the way that it did with Brock, especially when you look at early season 49ers versus late season 49ers? I mean, I don't know if I could say that. They were killing it last year.
Right. I want to move on to the kicker situation because I think Zane Gonzalez versus Jake Moody will be an interesting competition. I like Zane Gonzalez a little bit more, although I understand Jake Moody's got a better leg. Who do you think will be the starting kicker for the 49ers?
Oh, it's got to be Moody. It better be Moody. It better be Moody.
Better be Moody. New title for him. Better be Moody.
It has to be because if you spend a 3rd round pick on a kicker and then he doesn't even make the team, dude, that's
Very
a disaster.
tough.
That is a disaster. So it
John
has to
Lynch
be.
had high praise for Jake Moody, as well as Kyle Shanahan. They both had.
Well, they
high
better. He's the highest drafted kicker in the whole NFL right now.
Right now,
they better have high praise for him because if he isn't a consistent top 5, for sure top 10 guy, it was a waste of a pick.
Real quickly, I want to add. I know OTAs are volunteer. You can choose to be in or you can choose to be out. Out of these 2 days of OTAs, who do you think should be playing and who do you think shouldn't be out on the field?
I mean, I would prefer that everybody would be there. I like kind of what Fred Warner does where he shows up, supports the team, but doesn't necessarily play, isn't out there running around. I don't it's a fine line because you want everybody there to be integrated and meet their teammates and those types of things. But you also don't want your top guys going and getting injured.
Right, yeah.
Like, could you imagine, top player for 49ers goes out there, goes super hard and pops an Achilles.
Right.
I mean, disaster, right? So it's like, how do you balance that? So I would prefer that everybody shows up, but as far as the people that are playing, obviously the quarterbacks, because they're trying to get in a rhythm. And then every young player on this team that hasn't been on this team for more than 3 years, I would love for all of them to be out on the field, unless you're superstar,
Sure.
So yeah.
Real quickly, I have one more question to ask.
Yep.
During OTAs, I don't know if you've seen pictures of Drake Jackson, but he looks bulk. What do you think about Drake Jackson bulking up?
I mean, personally, I think that the player opposite of Bosa would be best served for the 49ers if they were a speed rusher.
Right.
It doesn't seem like Drake Jackson is going to fit that mold. Doesn't mean he can't be effective. I just want Drake Jackson to be at his optimal weight, whatever that is. Because if you look at Drake Jackson in college, a lot of people said that the talent was there, but the reason that he never really broke through and played great was because he was fluctuating in weight constantly. Every year they would get a new coach and that new coach would want him to do something different. Hand in the dirt, stand up, lose weight, gain weight. So he was all over the place. And so now you've got Drake Jackson coming in at a heavier, looks like a cleaner weight, which is great. I just want him to be at his optimal weight to get the best performance, whatever he thinks that is. That's where I want him to be. So I hope it's not a situation where the 49ers said, hey, go put on 20 pounds of muscle. We need that. Well, if he wants to be a speed rusher and feels like he plays best when he's light, that might not be the best thing for him. So I don't know. I don't know what that weight is for him, but whatever it is, that's where I want him to be.
Hope it works out. Well, thanks, Jesse, for taking my call. I appreciate it, man. You take it easy.
Absolutely. All right, Hades. Later.
Later.
Good call. Good way to start it out. Yeah, what's up? Follow the trail. Come on, man. Appreciate you for tapping in now. Definitely. Where was it at? Oh, it's funny because I was joking with Ryan on Twitter. I said, I don't know. I mean, you seem like a dink and dunk content creator, so it's funny that you've got that got that name. And then Brother Bob says, Nails, when you have Larry on your show, that's when I'm going to super chat it. Brother, you're a member. I appreciate you. You don't need to super chat nothing. Nobody needs to super chat anything, but especially members. I mean, you're already top priority in the chat. That's part of being a member. So I appreciate it. I will be on with Larry on his show tomorrow, though. All right, here's the order. We're going to go Monsa. We're going to go Alex. Then we're going to go Eric. All right, here we go.
Yo,
What's up, Monsa?
What's good, man? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I gotta catch an early bird flight for graduation tomorrow.
Hey, Monsa, real quick.
Yeah.
Leave and come back in. Your mic is really crackly. I don't think it's your mic. I think it's StreamYard. It does this sometimes on the call-in. So just leave and come right back in.
All right. Okay. Where do I go for that?
Just back out. Just here, I'll remove you, and then you come back in. Yeah, there you go. I don't know why. It's so annoying. But I mean, the whole show is built on audio, so kind of need to sound good. You know what I mean? We'll see. Give him a minute to hop back in. I see Gabe Niners popped in. What's up, Gabe? How are you? All right, let's see if Monza sounds a little bit better here.
Yeah. Testing.
Much better. There we go. Yes, okay. Much cleaner.
All right. Yep. Yeah, because I didn't make any changes to my mic, so
no, it's StreamYard. It does that.
Okay. Yes. I didn't forgot what I was just saying. I guess there's a couple things. You can, because we actually have differing opinions on the starting quarterback. Whereas if Brock were healthy, ready to go week 1, I still think Kyle doesn't play him.
No.
Because
hold on. Let's make sure that we have at least a basis of what ready to go week 1 is, because I think there's 2 different levels of ready to go. There's cleared, which is what I've said, where I'm saying, hey, I think he'll be cleared for week 1, but I don't know if he'll necessarily have the competitive training, the 3 weeks or so that he's going to need to ramp up. So those are 2 different things. So where are you at when you say cleared? What does that mean to you?
I mean 3 weeks
or ready to go.
The 3 weeks of competitive training. He was cleared 3 weeks before week 1. Okay. But I just don't think that that's going to be enough competitive training for him to ramp up, because one thing you and I agree on is that Kyle sets up his scheme for the second half of the season.
For sure. Yes.
He really leans on his defense in the first 8 weeks. He leans on he's going to play field position. He's going to lean on his defense, and he's going to set up his scheme. And scheme is like scheme over everything for him. I don't think he's willing to put Brock Purdy out through that.
Okay.
Not when you look at the first half of the schedule, because on the first half of the schedule, the edge rushers in our schedule in the first half it's loaded with monsters. It's some monsters on that. I just don't think he's going to put him out there. But I mean, I could be the minority in that, but I just don't think Kyle likes noodle arm quarterbacks. I really don't think he does. I don't think he was the leading guy to bring in Jimmy. I don't believe that. I believe he okayed it.
I mean, he clearly wasn't. He wanted Kirk Cousins. They talked about how he was depressed. So no, he didn't want Jimmy initially.
Yeah, and I think that and it's not about throwing. Hey, I'm not going to throw 50-yard bombs 10 times in a game. But Kyle is the ultimate chess player, and when I have you, I want to make my move. It doesn't matter where I'm at on the field. I want 6, and I want it now because I know what you're doing. Because, he's an ultimate chess player. It's like, I know your play call. I can see what you're doing. And I know if I run this, I can get 6. And I can get it right now. And that's not really and most of the times when he takes his shots, it's not really a 50-50 ball. If you go back and you look at Debo's deep passes down the field with Trey, he had that wheel route, which was basically wide open. And then he had that deep crosser where he had so much space underneath that, it wasn't a one-on-one challenge for the ball. I think when he takes his deep shots and he takes the shots, they're high percentage shots. But I think he wants those shots made. But
yeah, I mean, by the way, they are in the offense. I mean, that was we've been showing film all the time of Jimmy passing up those shots. And that's where the whole like the dink and dunk thing kind of gets interesting, because Brock took some of those shots.
Right, he did.
And I know that, over 30 yards, he didn't take a lot of those shots. He only took 5. He was 1 of 5. Okay. But just downfield, like I think for me, when I think downfield, I think anything over 20. At least stretch it out a little bit.
Right.
Outside the numbers, 20 yards, that's downfield enough. I mean, if you really look at it, league leaders of like 40 plus yard completed passes in a season is like 11. So you don't need to be just airing it out game in and game out to be a downfield thrower. But I would say, that 20 to 30 range, if you can live in there 5 to 6 attempts a game, I mean, you're a downfield passer in my opinion. And so when I look at Purdy, and I don't know how many of those he had per game, I don't have that in front of me. But when I look at Purdy, he definitely took more shots than Jimmy. And so when you see those plays show up on film, at least Purdy's willing to take the chances there. Jimmy never did. And that was always frustrating. So I say all of that to say, yes, Kyle clearly wants to take those chances. He dials them up all game long. It's a matter of if you see it and if you go after it. They will be there regardless of who the quarterback is.
Right. Yeah. And see, if you go back and watch the Super Bowl we were in 2019, Kittle was our number one option that year. And when you go and you look at the third downs that we missed, Kittle's wide open, but he took the check down. And he had time to get the ball to Kittle. So actually, from getting that and hearing Kurt Warner's definition, I wouldn't call Brock a dink and dunk quarterback. However, in the same voice, outside the numbers, 20 yards, Brock's not throwing that.
You wouldn't say he has a strong arm either. I think that's fair.
No, he doesn't.
That's fair. Monsa, I gotta get you out. The static's back 1 and 2. I've got like 8 people waiting. So,
all right, man.
All right, bro. Have a good one. Check out Monsa, by the way. Monsa in the chat. Throw your stuff up. He just started the channel. I was a guest on his channel, and I'm looking forward to him kind of getting going. I know how exciting it is when you first start, and so I definitely want to show him love. Hopefully, y'all in the chat can show him love as well. All right, so here's the order. I always like to be transparent about the order so you know how long you're going to have to wait. I will make sure that I am strict on the 5 minutes. Okay, so once you hit that 5 minutes, that's your cutoff mark. The order is Alex, Eric, Gabe's Niners, The Dark Knight, Steve-O Supremo, TC, and hopefully Flav can stick around. If not, I totally understand. But I want to give everybody, I want to be respectful and make sure that that you got about a 20, 25 minute wait for some of y'all. So here we go. Alex, bringing you in, brother. What's up, man?
Not too much you can see me? Usually I pop up on the... Okay. Yeah, I know usually I pop up on the screen.
I always pop people up on screen and then pull them out. Because I had an issue in the past where somebody tried to get my channel taken down and was successful with it. So yes,
no, I remember. First off, how you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's just another day. That's breaking news every single day. Being a 49er fan,
Yeah.
So I wanted to respond to. I know that he's going to watch. He watches your shows, and he knows that he knows every time that his name is said. I got to respond to one of the things that Larry actually. I was watching Larry's show earlier, talking about like Brock Purdy and comparing him to Russell Wilson, and I said to him, I said, well, no, like I said in the comments, like no, like Russell Wilson is essentially much faster and has a deep ball, and Brock Purdy does. And he said, he has the 4.5 speed for the first 10 yards, but Russell was a 4.5 runner, and he would eviscerate defenses with his legs, and then he would eviscerate defenses with his long ball. I just really thought when bringing that up and only mentioning half of my point was pretty disingenuous, especially when he was saying that it would be intellectually dishonest not to compare Brock Purdy to Russell Wilson.
Mm.
And I find that 1,000% ridiculous. I know he's probably going to, I just want to say that because, I don't really pay for super chats and all that. And I know that he's probably going to mention it, and other people are mentioning it too. The other thing, though, so crazy prediction, and I think that this is, I don't know why so many people are so hard on for like trading Trey Lance. At least the minority. And I'm going to explain why I don't think that it makes any sense whatsoever. The guy is so young, and they haven't mentioned really significantly exploring trading him at all. And even if what I think would be crazy, and this is just something that popped in my head today, just a dumb hypothetical, but imagine this, like they could have Brock Purdy this year, they could win a bunch of games, win the Super Bowl, and then next year, believing that they actually, because what if they win the Super Bowl, they're probably going to lose a bunch of players, right? Because a bunch of players are going to go out and try to get paid, the young guys, especially if they're coming off a Super Bowl performance. A lot of those guys are just going to naturally leave. I think at that point, realizing Brock Purdy's true limitations, I think that they would put him up on the trade block. I can see them recouping if he's coming off a Super Bowl winning season and potentially a Super Bowl MVP. That would be the best time to trade Brock. And I believe that if they traded him going into his minimal contract into next season, they'd be able to recoup those picks that they complain about the losing because of Trey Lance. The fans complain about losing for Trey Lance. And then because Trey is so young, I think that a lot of people are missing the forest for the trees in my eyes, where they're not, they think that they're going to trade Trey, but it doesn't make any sense, because if Trey is who they think that he is, we can keep him. There's no damage and there's no real risk in even picking up his contract and everything if they believe that he's just going to take this extra time to develop, and then all of a sudden he comes out and he's fully developed by next year, but they're going to be in the middle of a rebuild kind of, because if they do win the Super Bowl, I think the players are going to go on an exodus. I think that especially George, Trent's probably going to retire if he gets a ring, so we're not going to have that left tackle anymore.
If they win, Trent's all but gone, right? Like that for sure would happen, I would say.
And I think that if Trent leaves, that I think that there's going to be, I think that there's going to be an exodus that goes with it. And I think that at that point, they can still keep Trey with basically no risk whatsoever and still be able to rebuild. That was just a little bit of the hypothetical that I was thinking of. And funny thing is, the team that I would think would be perfect for that after this season would be the Dolphins. I think that Grant is right in comparing like the same size and everything to Tua to Brock, but I think that Brock is the better processor. I think that he's the better processor, and I think that he would do great with Mike McDaniel, and I think that he would. Yeah, and I think that'd be so. That's just a little idea that popped in my head today. And the other things, I gotta tell people to stop talking about Sam Darnold, beating out Trey Lance. It's not gonna happen. The dude up there on the podium. The first thing I messaged Grant in the chat when he was on with Vish, catching that show, which was first time in a year. That was killer. That was awesome to see them back together again. But the biggest thing that I said was the dude just has it was confidence. Trey came up exuding this positivity and optimism and really security, that kind of confidence where he's secure in himself and he knows where he is in this moment. And I'm glad that, talking about like mental health and everything, what he's doing, just like his perspective and his confidence and what he was saying in his speech, or not in like giving a speech, but in what he was saying and what he was saying up on the podium, it really exuded that. Same with Brock Purdy. Like those guys, Those guys
Alex,
have it.
I hate to jump in.
I
hate to jump
know.
in, but the 5's up. I gotta be respectful to
I know.
everybody. I can't make them wait forever. But I'm gonna respond to a couple things real quick. You can bounce out, but I am gonna respond to a couple things. So, it's an interesting scenario. I'll give you that. I think it's an interesting scenario. I think, ideally, the 49ers. I know that they say it. Hey, we've got 4 starters, 3 starters, 2, whatever it is. But ideally, they do have 2 franchise guys, and they could trade one. And if you're going to trade one, it would have to be somebody that's got high trade value. Well, if Purdy plays all year, then realistically, he would be the only one that could up his trade value. And then if Trey plays all year, he could up his trade value as well. I would be shocked coming off of a Super Bowl win if they made that move, but it is an interesting scenario. Now, if you just trade one of them, I do think the Dolphins could be an interesting team because, like you said, McDaniels is over there. Tua, what's he going to be for sure? I don't know. I think there's definitely some interesting things for sure. So appreciate the call as always, Alex. Call in anytime. We're gonna go to. Oh, I think he hopped out. Now he's back in. We're gonna go to Eric in a second. I think he's a Seahawks fan actually. So this should be fun. But he's respectful. I think I remember seeing Eric in the chats and stuff. So we'll talk to him, see how the Seahawks are doing. Be nice to do something a little bit different. 49ers daddy, though, I wanted to get to this comment. He says, Jesse, was Grant's guest a QB expert? Grant's guest is a QB coach, yes. But I don't know who he is. That doesn't mean anything like, oh, if I don't know who he is, he can't be anything. But I don't know much about him. I will say this, he was a hell of a guest. At the very least, the guy was super eccentric. He was entertaining as all get out, but he's definitely not one of the most well-known guys in the community, because if he was, we would all know who he is. But does he train quarterbacks for a living? 100%. Yes, he does. So, you do with that what you will. I know a lot of people were, I think you were one of them, 49ers daddy, definitely trying to flame him out of the chat. But I will say this. I think when Grant or anybody, myself, goes out of their way to try to bring something different to the channel, to try to bring in somebody, even if you don't agree with them, I would challenge you to at least understand that, hey, the homework was done. Yes, this guy does this for a living, regardless of what your thoughts are. And at least be respectful in the chat, because you got to remember, these guys are reading the chat too. And maybe that's somebody that Grant wants to come back later. And if everybody's flaming him, maybe he doesn't come back, not because of Grant, but because of everybody else. So just something to keep in mind, maybe. All right, let's go to Eric, see what's on his mind, see what's on the Seahawks agenda. If I'm right, and he is a Seahawks fan. What's up, Eric?
Hey, you all won. I am a Seahawks guy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, bud. I'm doing good. I knew I remember the name, and then I just checked the private chat and was like, oh, he is a Seahawks guy.
Yep. So how's it been doing tonight?
Good, man. Really good. How you been?
Been good.
Oh, I have a question for you, Eric.
What's up, bud?
What's going on with the Seahawks? I hear that there might be an injury over there to Woolen. Is that
I
true?
heard that he did have surgery. I heard that happened that happened yesterday. They say he might be back by training. He should be about ready by training camp. So might not be 100%, but sounds like it's gonna be okay.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yep.
So what else on your mind, Eric? What's up? What do you think of the 49ers this year? Who do you think's winning the division?
Even though I love Seattle, I gotta say you guys, because it's just, you guys are just so dang good. A lot of talent over there.
Yeah, Eric, I appreciate that. Even as a Seahawks fan, you can give an honest assessment. But I want to say this about the Seahawks, and I don't know if you saw my video about them. I think it was around draft time I had dropped the video. It was just before the draft. They had just signed Bobby Wagner. I think the Seahawks have done a really good job this offseason. I think they did a good job through free agency. I
Yep.
think they did a good job through the draft. And I think that they have upgraded significantly on the defensive side of the ball. They've made some slight upgrades on the offensive side of the ball. I think Seattle's going to be better this year. I think they're going to be tougher than a lot of 49er fans want to give them credit for. What do you think about that?
Well, I guess we're gonna find out together because I really don't know. I mean, I would love it, but that's I don't know.
you don't seem like you believe in the Seahawks very much this year.
No, I believe it's just that you guys are so good also, and I just know that you guys are gonna be a tough team to beat.
I gotcha.
Yep.
What do you think? How excited are you for Thanksgiving night, 49ers and Seahawks?
Oh man, that's gonna be a crazy night. That's all I know. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, yep.
I like it.
And then like the entire schedule is just crazy because then we get a few weeks later we have to play again.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we do. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, Eric, I think Seattle is the only team that has more travel miles this year than the 49ers. So it's going to be tough. Travel's going to be tough for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think it's going to definitely be tough this year.
What do you think of the rest of the division, though, Eric? What do you think? Do you think we should pay attention at all or be worried at all about the Rams or the Cardinals this year? Or you think it's just 49ers Seattle division?
You know, that's tough. That's a good question. I really don't know that answer because Moy might be good.
Mhm.
The Rams might be good. I mean, those are two scenarios, but we don't really know much about.
It's true. Very
Yep.
true. The Rams are interesting, right? Because they just won a Super Bowl a couple years ago, but they've
Yep.
completely stripped that team down. And so, is Stafford healthy? Do they come out? Can they recapture anything that they had 2 years ago?
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, the roster doesn't look very strong, but you never know. In division games can always be tough. But I personally think that Seattle and the 49ers will split when they play each other. So they'll each win one, and then they'll both win the other 4 games in the division. I truly believe that it is the 49ers and Seahawks to battle out.
Yeah, I think if there's going to be a split, probably the one that Seattle's going to win is going to be Thanksgiving because I know how important and how loud that place can get, especially on the road. We learned that in the playoffs how loud that place could get.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're right. And that's the one that I'm picking, that Seattle game. Thursday night games for road teams in
Yeah.
particular,
Yeah.
very, very tough. So I love it. Eric, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. You have yourself a good night and good luck to your Seahawks this year, brother.
Thank you, Sue. Have a good night now.
All right, you too. Hey, he was realistic. He was definitely subdued for sure. You gotta appreciate it. What's up, Chris? Chris, what games are you going to this year? I'm curious. Are you going to go to any games, or are you just gonna stay local? Chris, actually, shout out to him. I watched the NFC Championship, or not the NFC Championship, NFC Divisional game where the 49ers beat Green Bay. I was at that bar because Chris invited me, and he's a part of the Tampa chapter here for the 49ers. So shout out to you, Chris. Always a stand-up guy. Miss you, man. We got to link up this year for sure. Jacksonville, he says, okay. All right, fair enough. What's up, Black Cat Panther Podcasts? Man, y'all are feeling yourself over there, and you should be. I like what you guys got going on in Carolina, man. Hopefully everything's going good over there for you. All right, here's the order. We got Gabe's Niners. We got the Dark Knight. We got Steve-O Supremo. We got Flav. And then we got Niner Bane. That's a great name, by the way. All right, let's go, Gabe. Let's kick this thing off.
Hello.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
That's awesome to hear. It's almost that time of year where my mental health varies on a weekly basis, depending on whether or not the 49ers win or lose. So that's exciting.
Yeah, you aren't wrong about that. That's for sure.
But yeah, no, I'm just honestly excited that there's actual like players out on the field now. And looking at like your title, and it says that the 49ers haven't budgeted regardless of talk. What do you mean by that? Because I
They
was kind of
haven't
confused.
budged. They haven't
Oh,
budged.
budge.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. They haven't budged. So regardless of what all the talk was in the offseason, Sam Darnold and this and that, I think the reality of the situation really hasn't changed. If Brock Purdy's healthy, he'll start week 1. If
yeah.
Brock Purdy's not healthy, Trey Lance will start week 1. This whole Sam Darnold thing and whatever, I don't believe any of it. So, and I think the more and more that we see these players, the more and more that will become clear. Before I give the floor back to you, though, I do want to ask Q, if you're still in the chat, if you wouldn't mind calling in or at least putting a blurb in the chat, what are your thoughts of Sam Darnold? Because, man, this is a debate, and you saw him up close and personal for 2 years. You got your own podcast. I know you know Carolina football. I want to know from a Panthers fan, because some of these fans really believe that Sam Darnold can be him, and I don't believe it. I'm not buying it. I think he's a turnover machine, and I want to know what your thoughts are. All right, go ahead. Gabe, the floor is yours.
Just to piggyback off what you said, I don't really think Sam Darnold's going to be that guy either. Just I think he lacks confidence, and that's what a lot of people have been saying. But when I posted shorts and stuff, people are like, "Oh, don't sleep on Sam Darnold." I'm like, okay, whatever you say, man. But
I don't see it.
yeah, no, I really, and another part of me just wants to see Trey Lance just actually play, because he's only played 4 games, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, speaking of Trey, his mechanics got overhauled, and everyone's been talking about it. And I've been seeing some comments just through like Instagram feed and whatever, because I don't have Twitter, mostly because I just don't know how to use it. But
I feel it.
uh people have been wondering if his mechanics, or if he's gonna backslide or revert to his old ways when it comes to like game speed.
Yeah.
And I'm curious on when his new throwing motion is going to become muscle memory. And I do honestly think Tight End University is going to help him with that, along with Josh Allen being there, and he can pick his brain just like he did with Patrick Mahomes. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. And just this time away from the team after these OTAs, he said he's going to go back with Christensen, and Mahomes will be there, obviously, because that's who Mahomes works with. So he'll have more time with Mahomes and Christensen. He'll have a little bit of time with Josh Allen. And I think it'll be great for him. I think from a physical standpoint, those are the 2 super freaks of the league, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. And if Trey starts to feel that he can make a lot of those throws, which we know he has arm talent to make pretty much every throw you can think of, I think doing that in their presence has to give you some confidence. So, yes, absolutely.
And just because Trey Lance has, overhauled his mechanics, it doesn't take away anything from what Brock has done, and I still think Trey needs to prove himself. So I'm not saying that Trey's just the guy because he hasn't proved it yet. And I'm just reading because of the 187 guys, like it takes years to fix QE mechanics, which it can be true. It could take years, but with how dedicated Trey Lance seems to be to his craft, I don't think it's going to take like years for him to figure this out. But
well, we also have to understand, I mean, if you're really looking at things and breaking it down, he's made progress already before this year. I mean, you last year it was the stride. He shortened up his stride a ton.
And his base is like condensed. That's something I noticed.
He did that last year. Then you're right. So he did that last year, and then this year, he's working on it a little bit more. So it's not like he just went from ground zero to, oh my gosh, we got to fix it all overnight. No, every quarterback works on it in the offseason, and he did make progress last year. Like, don't let anybody fool you. I've shown the tape of him making that progress. And by the way, guess what? Kind of talked to his personal quarterback coach for 5 years. So I know a little something. All right. So yes, he made progress. definitely last offseason. The finger was an issue, and so he couldn't make as much progress as I'm sure he would have liked. But now it's not an issue, and he can make even more progress. So it's not like he's just starting from Krusty the Clown and got to be a superstar. No, he made progress last year. He did. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, my time's up. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
I,
I
really
took a lot of
appreciate
it. Is there anything else you want to say? I'll give you an extra 30 seconds or so to riff.
No, not really. Other than just it's been hard to figure out what to talk about since there hasn't been anything going on until just recently, like content wise. But
Brother, welcome to the off season. Being a content creator,
it's awful.
it's very, very hard. But here's what I will say, especially if you are new to the game or you're still trying to build your channel. This is the time. This is your off season training. Okay. So this is your time to go out and try things, see what works, see what doesn't work, kind of perfect your craft. So when the season comes, you're ready for it. So that's what I would say. Treat it as your off season as well. You're going and fixing your mic mechanics is what we'll call them. All right.
Yeah. I've been playing with a few things, but anyways, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate you having these open mics and giving everyone a platform to speak their opinion, things like that. It's a really cool thing you do.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. And keep doing your thing over there. Check them out.
Right.
Gabe's Niners. All right. I got to ask, I don't want to skip anybody, but I did ask Q to call in from the Panthers podcast. I'll only give him 5 minutes like y'all, but if you could just pop on camera and give me a thumbs up, if you're down, if not, you can give me a thumbs down. But Dark Knight, Steve-O Supremo, and Flav, do you mind if I jump Q to the front so that we can it might actually help with your calls and give us a baseline, get his thoughts on Sam Darnold. Are you guys cool with that? Just pop on camera and say yes or no. If it's a no, I'll keep you guys in order. If you don't say anything, then I'm going to assume it's okay also. So, all right. Nobody's saying anything. I don't see anybody popping on camera. I did see Steve-O leave. I don't know if that was by design, but we'll go to Q, then Dark Knight, then Flav. Steve-O, you're back. Are you cool with it? Yay, nay? You guys good? Let me check the private chat. He's good with it. Steve-O's good with it. Okay. I don't mind. All right. You guys seem cool with it. All right. Let's bring on Q from the Black Cat Panthers podcast. See if he's even ready. I might have just pulled him up and he's not even ready. What's up, Q?
What's going on? How we doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Hey, if y'all remember the end season behind enemy lines when we played the Panthers, Q was the one that was on for them, and we've stayed in touch. I'd love to see your channel growing, man. You're doing great things over there, but I need you to end this debate, and I don't know which way you're going to go with it. We've actually not even talked about this, but let me lay it out for you. There's a lot of 49er fans that believe Sam Darnold can resurrect his career in San Francisco. They believe that he hasn't had as good a coaching and as good a players around him, which I agree with. And my stance is this. I think Sam Darnold could absolutely have his best season in San Francisco. However, that doesn't all of a sudden make him a good quarterback. The way that I look at Sam Darnold is he is turnover prone. Q, this guy fumbles all the time. And in fact, first OTA, he fumbled a snap yesterday in OTAs. I think he is turnover prone. I don't think, regardless of what talent's around you, regardless of the coaching, bad decision-making is bad decision-making. He had bad decision-making in college. He's had bad decision-making in the NFL. He has fumble problems. And I don't believe that any coach or team can fix poor decision-making when it's been going on for this long. What are your thoughts on Sam Darnold? Set the record straight from a Panthers fan.
Okay, first and foremost, look, Sam Darnold to me is a quarterback with a strong arm. This guy can make throws. He can make reads. But the problem with this guy, like you said, is the decision-making. Once he go pre-snap, everything is good. But once he snaps that ball, I don't know if it's just the flow of the game, which is too fast for him maybe at times. But I believe that everything before pre-snap is perfect. But when it comes to this guy, once he snaps the football, he goes brain neutral. So it looks good. It's that shiny car that you see that's sitting in the garage. It looks really good. When you crank it up, the motor blows. This guy to me has a lot of work to do, but I believe he's in the best spot possibly to resurrect his career. Because if you look at him, 5 years, 3 losing seasons with the Jets and 2 with us. And then what a lot of Panther fans like to say is he never had competent coaching. He never had a competent system to run. And under Steve Wilkes, he shined the most within 7 games. He looked his best. And you got to understand, we were heavily predicated on the run. We were a defensive first team predicated on the run. And you notice we didn't pass the ball much at all last year, at all. And that's why all he had to do was come in and manage the game. He didn't really have to do much. Like, he didn't have to worry about turnovers. And still, he created a couple of turnovers, especially in that last game. So like you said, the problem is he's going to turn over the football at some point in time. This guy, to me, is not trustworthy with your franchise. If you have a young guy in which we know Purdy still got to get ready, Lance is going to be there. I would go with Lance over him because I just don't trust him. But if you want a guy that you just basically want to throw out there, he's the guy for the job. But where are you going? Because your team is a well-oiled machine, and you don't want that guy to come in and steer you wrong. I don't trust him.
I think he's a hell of a third-string quarterback. Like, I'll say this. I think both can be true. I don't want him playing games, but I don't know if you're going to find a better third-string quarterback in the NFL. I think that's fair to say. Do you agree with that?
Well, I do, but this, like I tell you again, it looks good until it gets onto the field. And once it gets on the field, pre-snap, everything looks good. But once he hiked that ball, he cannot complete a play. Like, it was so bad at one time. Once we fixed the offensive line, this guy still was making mental errors, throwing, like, he would miss guys with timing. His timing was always off. Like, his anticipation in the pocket is so rattled that before the rush even gets to him, he's already looking to dip away with the ball, which is horrible. Look, if you got a quarterback that can't seem to anticipate when the rush is coming, and you go and you revamp this line, and he still can't seem to make a play, he still can't seem to make. Look, he made DJ Moore look irrelevant last year. DJ Moore, come on. This guy was getting 1,000 yards with anybody at quarterback.
He was a lock for 1,200 yards a season, 3 years in a row. Boom, 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 like nothing.
Yeah, and in the last stretch, now that's more predicated on Steve Wilkes because he's a defensive-minded guy. He really didn't know how to open up his playbook. And when you got Ben McAdoo as a play caller, I mean, you didn't really get your guys, open. And Sam Darnold, it's not his fault that they put him in those positions. So there's always a yin for a yang with this because as much as you can say, I would say this. You guys are the one team that I would trust to have him to go out there and run an offense because Shanahan should be able to, with the weapons that you got with Debo and the crew, y'all should be able to keep this guy upright for at least a couple of games. At least.
Yeah, I think people forget that Sam Darnold did play some games with Moore and CMC. In the last game he played, he completed 46% and threw 3 interceptions when he played with both those guys on the field. In his last game last year, he did the same thing. He was 5 of 15 for like 46 yards. He fumbled the ball. Luckily, he didn't lose it, but he threw 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. Like, he does this every few games. He has a major stinker like that, which people are ready to write off Trey Lance after 3.5 games. He's never, even in a monsoon, threw up any game that looked near as bad as that. And Sam Darnold is doing it in year 5 of his career still. And start 56, he was doing it, or start 55. So it's just weird to me that we've got people that, the same people that have zero trust in Trey Lance after 3 starts, have all this confidence that, Sam Darnold can resurrect his career over here. It's like, what?
No.
What?
No, sir.
I
would not. I would not. I'm telling you, out of 6 games he played, one of the games, like I said, it was really 7, but out of 6 games, this guy right here had a 92.6 quarterback rating, bro. And that's where the smoke and the fog and the mirrors come in at, because if you look past everything else, every other year this guy has been horrendous. And like I said, Steve Wilkes was a little bit better than what he had before in Matt Rule. And like I said, the offensive coordinator that we had, they went and got Joe Brady. And under Joe Brady, he didn't trust Sam Darnold to even come out and run a vanilla offense. It was a vanilla offense that we had with him. And Joe Brady was probably one of the worst play callers that we had. And still yet, Sam Darnold looked horrendous that first year when we had him. Now, Ben McAdoo didn't do any better, but all I'm saying now is y'all a better system. You got way more structure than what we had for him in Carolina. And I'm telling you, if he does stand a chance, it's going to be with y'all and Shanahan putting him in good positions to get that ball out of his hand quick. It's going to be, get that ball to CMC as fast as you can, or get that ball to Debo as fast as you can, because if not, you're going to be going pick six all day.
All right. I love it. Q, thank you for hopping in, man. I appreciate it. Much love to you. Shout out to you and your podcast. Keep doing your thing. And thanks for giving us a little bit of insight on Sam Darnold. I appreciate you.
No doubt.
Later, man. Hey, that was cool. I'm glad he called in. I mean, I would be shocked. Q's a very smart individual. I'd be shocked if he came away with anything different than what I already thought. But you never know. But it was pretty obvious. All right. Shawnee Boy says, people who say Lance is a bust or trade him are mostly Jimmy fans who want Purdy to succeed so they can be right and aren't open to Lance succeeding. I mean, okay, here's one thing we can say, and I'm not going to hold anybody's feet to the fire. I mean, I have takes that I'm wrong about or going to be wrong about. I might be completely wrong about this quarterback situation altogether. Purdy might end up being franchise guy and I was wrong and whatever. But one thing we can say for sure, those who were on the Jimmy train, y'all were wrong. Y'all were wrong. So that's already been proven. So we know that. Now, Trey, we'll see. Time's running out, but it ain't out yet. It's out for Jimmy. We know what he is. And y'all were wrong. So that we do know factually. Mic drops with Monsa. What's up, Monsa? You were just in here. How would Purdy look in a monsoon? I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I will say this. A lot of people talk about that Seattle game and said that he had jitters and that's why he didn't look so good early. I mean, I don't think it was because it was a playoff game. I think it was because it was raining slightly at the beginning of that game. I mean, as soon as the rain stopped, the sprinkling stopped, all of a sudden he had control of the ball again. But for that first little bit when it was raining, it was coming down a little bit. I mean, he was very erratic, very erratic. So I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, maybe it was because of the nerves, the playoff nerves, or maybe it was because the ball was wet. I don't know. I really have no clue. All right, let's jump back into it. We'll go Dark Knight, Steve-O, Flav, Kevin, and then Michael. Let's go. What's up, Dark Knight?
Hey, Jesse, what's up? Can you hear me?
I got you.
Yeah. Like, I do. It was worth the wait hearing a Panthers fan talk about Sam Darnold because, like,
appreciate it,
dude. He's like, looks to me, he looks like fool's gold. Because if he was on any other team in the West, these fans would be cheering and celebrating because of how easy it would be. But we'll just have to see with that. And yeah, it's just like more of a mini venting session, only because I don't know. This offseason has been one of the crazier ones for some reason, because I personally believe the competition between Young and Montana just sparked a never-ending quarterback controversy. Yeah, dude, Flav is
Hey, I'll say this about Flav. Man, whether people like him or hate him, and most people hate him, he gets emotion out of people. So, I mean, Flav does his thing. He calls in. People are going to tune in because they ain't a fan of him. And I don't think he really cares. So,
yeah,
anyways.
You get emotions out of him and money, Jesse. So, like, it works out.
For sure.
But yeah, basically, I just think Young and Montana caused like a never-ending QB controversy It's like I'm 25, so like I don't know what happened after that up until Captain Smith. That's a QB controversy. Then you have Jimmy and Trey. You know what happened, and then we have Trey and Brock, and now I guess Sam Darnold, but I don't see that happening. Me personally, as a fan, I don't care who wins. Jimmy could have won in 2019, and as you said it, like I think last year, they could have signed him to a lifetime contract. I don't think
I said put out a statue in front of Levi if he wins the Super Bowl. I don't care.
I don't care either. It's like we've been doing Quest for Six for like almost damn near 2 decades. Like I just want to cross the finish line. I don't care who wins as the quarterback. And, like, it's just, first, it's the fans really getting in their feelings and choosing sides. But now you actually have press members getting in their feelings and treating Brock like he's, like, their long lost son. And it's just getting too intense. And it's just like the dink and dunk thing. I mean, certain people, if you know, just treating it like it's a racial slur. Like, dude, come on. Like, we all have opinions. We don't need to always agree with each other. We don't need to make things personal. It's sports at the end of the day. If anything, everyone should be mad that we haven't gotten 6. Like, if you're that much of a fan, just care about getting the damn trophy. I don't understand why we have to, like, draw a line in the sand. And it's like, it's just weird. The season hasn't started yet. Like, the season, it's not even week 1. It's not even September.
So toxic. Do you get the feeling, Dark Knight, that if the 49ers win a Super Bowl with Trey or Brock Purdy, either one, doesn't matter. Or Sam, I don't know, who cares? Let's assume that it's Brock Purdy or Trey, though. I don't think it'll be Sam. If the 49ers win a Super Bowl with Trey or Brock, that some people would be bitter on either side.
It's tricky, man. This fan base is hella weird, dude. Like,
I do. I feel like people would be bitter.
Yeah, like, okay, say 2019 Jimmy wins. It's over. No one cares. Like, you're not getting a rookie quarterback for probably 2 years unless it's like out of necessity of injuries. And then basically with Trey and Jimmy, if Trey had won the Super Bowl, that playoff run we made, like what was that, a year or 2 ago? Like, he beat the Texans, and then they were debating on playing him with the Los Angeles Rams. If Trey had won a Super Bowl then, everyone would forget Jimmy Garoppolo. Everyone would shut up. That would be that. But now with, like, Purdy and Trey, I don't think it's gonna stop unless one of them gets off the team, even if we do win a Super Bowl. Because like I said, I'm a fan. I'm trying not to swear on your show. I don't give a flying you know what who wins, but at times I feel there's like weird racial undertones to like people loving Jimmy, which is fine, but then they love Brock immediately, and then it's just weird. All in all, to say, it's not that serious. It's a sport. If you want to get serious, just put pressure on the team to actually win 6. That's all I've been waiting for since I was 8 years old, man. That's all I want. That's all I want.
I feel it. I'll say this as well. People get mad. People are getting mad at each other over this conversation, but really we should all be mad at San Francisco.
Exactly.
That they're 7 years into this regime and they don't have the franchise quarterback figured out for sure.
Yeah.
Or at least the guy that they can go win a Super Bowl with and have a guy for sure. Like, how many years do we have to go in? We thought it was over. We're like, okay, well, after this year, Jimmy's gone. They'll go back to Trey. It's good.
Exactly.
Oh, nope. Jimmy's gone and Brock's here. And now it's a whole new thing again. It's like, dude, just figure out your guy and move forward. Don't be mad at each other. Be mad at the 49ers for putting us fans in this situation where we have to choose. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. I feel like we could have had, like, dude, I cry about this with my 49er friend from college, like, every other week. I'm like, dude, we could have had 3 Super Bowls, probably even more, if we had just taken Tom Brady while he was in his prime. Like, anyone with eyes could see that he was not the problem his last year with the Patriots. Like, he still had that in him. And it's just so angry. We could have got Stafford too. I was going for that. I was like, dude, this is your go-to now, Kyle. You were looking at him. Why not? And it's just like you said, it's more of a San Francisco problem than the players' problems and the fans' problems. But
I feel it.
Yeah.
Dark Knight, that was a hell of a call, man. That was a really good call. You got the people in the chat talking. Great job, man. I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, for sure, Jesse. Like I said, you're one of the most level-headed 49er chatters
Thanks,
ever,
man.
so keep it up.
I appreciate it. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Call in anytime, okay?
Yeah, see you, Jesse.
Later. That was a really good call, man. I enjoyed that. All right, let me make sure. Okay, I thought I saw a super chat. Don't want to miss that. Actually, there's 2 of them. Okay, yep, we already got that one from Monza. All right. El Nano says, "What's up, Jesse? Hope your day is going good. Love your channel. Thank you. I appreciate that. Also, do you think Luter Jr. can start over Demo?" Oh, man. That's interesting because, at least in my mind, I'm penciling in Demo to be the starter, mostly because he's an Oregon Duck. Of course, that's the bias coming in. But he played really well last year. However, that being said, if Luter is that guy, yes, absolutely. I really think the 49ers, for the most part, will have an open competition on a lot of these positions, and they will play whoever they think is best. And I think that Luter could be that guy. I at least hope, if he's not the starter, that he can be that guy off the bench, though, that we can be confident in. We can see flashes from, because I am worried about the depth at the cornerback spot. I really am. I don't know what happens if Demo or Ward go down. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. So, at any rate, we'll go to Stevo Supremo, Flav, Kevin, Michael, T, and then Kevin, and that's how we are going to end it. Oh, Kevin's in here twice. Here, let me get rid of his first one. Kick this one from the studio. Thought we had 2 Kevins for a second. All right. I think I got the right one in here. All right. Let's go Stevo Supremo.
Hey, how you doing, Jesse?
What's up, man? How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good.
I just wanted to shout out Black Cat, man. Thanks for CMC, and then you throw in a coach. I appreciate that.
No doubt. And it's funny because we've kind of turned into Panthers West, haven't we?
Hopefully not, but we'll see.
In a good way. We took all their good pieces. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, last caller was on point too. You know, somebody tried to get me to say who I wanted the other day, and it's like, it doesn't matter who I want to start at quarterback because the team doesn't care. You know, it doesn't matter. And everybody thought I was a Jimmy fan because, you know, I stuck up for him as far as when you try and tell half the story. Like, people always want to say, for example, well, Trey didn't have CMC and Kittle and I'm like, yeah, but Purdy didn't have Debo for a month. So nobody ever, you know what I mean? And I'll say that, and then, you're Brock Purdy guy. It's like, no, you don't know. My questions are right down the middle. Just keep it 100. Don't tell half the story. You know what I mean? So like, I feel it. I don't care. I think we can win with either of them. I usually don't even like getting into that subject. But one of the things I want to
say this real quick, just before you jump into it. This is why I like having the call-in show. Because now a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is Stevo that I see in the chat, and I thought he was this way and whatever, but he's not. You know what I mean? So I think it's good because in a chat, everything can be taken out of context. You don't know what the tone is. You don't know. You only have limited characters that you can throw out there. And it's hard when things are going quick to have a conversation with other people. So that's why I love the call-in shows, because you really get people's genuine opinions. And you hear tone of voice, which I think is important as well. But go ahead.
Exactly. And I'm totally different from the chat from when I call into people's shows. Like, I'm a troll in the chat. Like, obviously, I'm Dick and Dunk. I'm going to take I have so many screen names to make fun of things. You know what I mean? I'm not going to miss an opportunity. And hopefully one day that'll be a joke and everybody won't get mad. But yeah, I'm totally different when I call into people's shows. But I just want to bring up, obviously we were top, 7th in rushing. Our rushing game was good, so I'm not going to go over that. But as far as our passing, we were 13th in passing yards last year. Top half, that's pretty decent, for having Jimmy, and 7th in passing touchdowns. We don't even know where our quarterback is. We went through 3. That's pretty good. And we had the 3rd least interceptions. That's part of running the ball and not taking the deep shots, is you don't put yourself at risk. And 20 plus passing yards, we were 7th. So our team wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Everybody has this thing, or McGlinchey sucked and this and that, but we gave up the 6th fewest sacks allowed in the league, the 6th fewest. But everybody remembers, the Superman, Micah Parsons throwing McGlinchey in the course of the last play of the Eagles game, and it's like wasn't really the case. If you look at the overall numbers. So, I'm not sure that's a winning with our defense. I mean, that's a winning formula for sure.
Yeah, and one thing also about the 49ers, and I hit on this going into the Eagles game. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it play out, but the 49ers had the best offense and the best defensive starting positions in the NFL as far as field placement. So that's actually really good. I mean, the offense was complementing the defense and vice versa, and the special teams was playing their part as well. So that's hard to do, to win that battle on both sides of the ball and be the league leaders. I mean, an extra yard here or there makes a major, major difference over the course of 17, 18 games and what have you. So, yeah, the 49ers, I mean, they have a lot of really, really good things going for them for sure.
Yeah, and that's what's weird to me is like, I'm watching podcasts today and everybody seems like down and sad. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, dude, we didn't have that many holes. I think we won free agency, if not top 2 or 3, right? Maybe the Cowboys did pretty good, but I mean, everybody just seems to be kind of, like sad a little bit. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I mean, our draft was by need. I mean, it wasn't a bad draft either. And everybody's just kind of like, meander, like not like, I mean, it's like, I don't understand. It's probably
there's no reason to be down. Definitely not for 49er fans. We have the only reason we would be down is like we've been so close and haven't won it. But as far as what's our optimism level going into this season, there's zero reason to be down. I mean, the 49ers are going to be just fine. There's no guarantee they're going to win a Super Bowl. And I think the quarterback position makes it really, really hard if they don't have the guy. But that being said, they're going to be in the mix. Like, we're going to get to the playoffs. They're still going to be one of the better teams. We're still going to feel like there's a chance to go to the Super Bowl and maybe even win it. And I would be shocked if the season played out any differently than that.
Yeah. So my question to you moving forward is, we know Kyle Shanahan, he coaches to coach, right? One of the best at it. My concern is the front office. We lost Ron. We lost a couple pieces. I think if we would have won it last year, Lynch would have moved on. How confident are you that we can replace these front office pieces?
Ooh, man. I think Lynch can be replaced. I think we're good there. I think we've had an Adam Peters, our GM of the future, just waiting there. And it's funny because what was thrown out on Twitter from the 49ers versus the way it actually went down. So when Adam Peters was starting to interview for these other positions in the offseason, I had gotten a text that said, hey, Kyle Shanahan and Adam Peters had a one-on-one. He's staying. I was like, wow, why would he pass up a potential opportunity to go be an actual GM somewhere else? Sure. And then a day later, it came out that, Adam Peters, John Lynch talked about it. He's like, Adam, myself, and Kyle sat down, and Adam's going to stay. We feel like it's best for his career. And it's like, that's not the way I got fed the information. And I heard it the day before, so I'm going to believe it. John wasn't a part of that. That was a Kyle thing. So that tells me that if that information is true, that Kyle really does respect and want Adam Peters here. I'm not saying he wants to push John Lynch out by any means, but he respects Adam Peters, and that's somebody that he believes he can work with. So if John were to move on, I think that would be a seamless transition.
Yeah, I mean, because that's, I think, our biggest backbone. I'm kind of worried about, because, like, everybody thought Banks was a bust, because he didn't start, and there was probably 2 guys ahead of him that were what we thought were better,
Yeah.
And then Burford came through. The center. I mean, I'm not gonna. Nobody, if any of us were a GM, we wouldn't have picked a kicker, right? You know what I mean? They put their balls on the line. I mean, like, the tight ends that everybody thought everybody was looking at, I didn't see either of the 2 drafted. So I'm just going to trust what they do, because they've been doing it for a while. I just hope in the future that they can keep it up as well.
Absolutely.
The same thing with Brock Purdy as well. That was a stupid pick. Okay.
Oh, I love the Brock. Dude, this is what's funny is everybody's like, oh, you hate Brock and you're a trade this and that. Bro, I loved Brock Purdy in college. I loved him. And when they drafted him, go check the timeline. I was immediately like, boom, we got Brock Purdy. I love this kid. Da, 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 da. So I loved when they took Brock Purdy. And we immediately opened a Twitter space. Sersky's in here. Sersky will tell you. He'll vouch for it. And I said, hey, we got to steal in Brock Purdy. I think this kid, if he came out the year prior, would have been a 3rd rounder. And everybody's like, really? You think? I'm like, I'm telling you, like, bro, he's got something to him. So, anyways, I appreciate it, Steve-O. Thank you so much for the call, man. Much different on the call versus in the chat, and that's why I like doing this. Like I said, so
Yeah,
I
don't tell anybody. I got to keep up my reputation.
No, I know. Hey, Steve-O, here we'll get him out right now. Steve-O's a jerk, man. Don't engage with him. He's not a nice guy at all. That's what I would say about Steve-O. What's up, Leo? How you doing, man? Yeah, okay, there we go. See, Raymond was in the he was probably, yep, you guys were in there. You guys remember I was talking up Purdy as soon as they drafted him. So I don't hate Purdy. I just think that Trey Lance long term would be better if they played him. There's no hate for Purdy, man. He's a good kid. I like Purdy. All right, here's how we're gonna round it out. We're gonna go Flav, Mike Garcia, and then T, and that'll be the end of it. Let's go. Everybody's favorite. Everybody's favorite. I said, actually, that's perfect. Everybody's favorite. There we go. We'll bring in Flav. Let's go. What's up, man? How are you?
What's up, bro? Can you hear me?
I got you.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Not too bad, dude. I get a kick out of these people that talk about, how much money I spend in the super chats. I just, like I tell them, if you think I spend a lot of money on the super chats, then you don't make enough of it. So
I want to say this too, just real quick to set the record straight. You and I definitely disagree wholeheartedly, and we have some real spirited debates. But you and I also you've been on the show a couple times. We talk in DMs on Twitter. Like outside of the quarterback thing, which we do not see eye to eye at all, and we definitely have heated conversation. I actually think you're a pretty nice guy, man. I enjoy you as a person from what I know about you outside of the quarterback debate. So I wanted to just set that record straight. But go ahead.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, and that's what I was going to say too, man. I think aside from the quarterback stuff, I agree with you. You're extremely knowledgeable, and I get a lot of great information from you, and I appreciate what you do. And so, that's the thing too for me. It's like none of this is ever personal, even when people say stuff and that sort of thing. Like my true feeling is that if somebody has to go with a personal attack, I kind of like for me that's a win, because I automatically assume that they can't come up with something to counter my argument. So I actually love that when they do that, because I just chalk it up as a win and kind of laugh at it that that they let themselves get to that point where they had to go to that route, and so that's kind of my outlook. But I had someone, I'm just getting into this Twitter, the Twitter world.
Oh, it's a whole, bro.
Dude, it's so fun, though, man. I'm having, it's still so new to me, but it is so much fun. And, and I had someone, I won't say any names, but I had someone who, recently went on to something similar like this. They actually said in their talk that if the 49ers win a Super Bowl, it will be because of Trey Lance, basically becoming the player that we all hope that he would become when we drafted him. But then basically said, in his talk that he has his doubts and, he's worried about it and blah, blah. And, that video went on to be kind of cut, and, part of it was used on Twitter. Then you get a whole stream of comments under it, basically just making fun of this person for everything from, their ethnicity to their weight to their appearance to this and that. And, that's the kind of shit that just pisses me off, man. And
I can't. Yeah,
it's so lame, and it's just weak shit. And, but, and then he reached out to me and he's like, man, how do you deal with this stuff? And these people, constantly trying to, go personal and that sort of stuff. And, and that's when I explained to him how I look at it. And I'm like, basically, look, like as soon as I get a message like that, I'm like, well, I'm smarter than this guy. because he, had to go, go that route. And so, and basically, and I know who I am. I know I'm a good person. I've said it 1,000 times. Like, even though we disagree on this quarterback stuff, if we're at the stadium and some other team's fan starts a fight with a Niners fan that happens to love Trey Lance and I'm a Brock Purdy fan, like I'm hopping in with the Niners fan,
For
I'm
sure.
not, and so, but I just get a kick out of it, man. But I know I basically have used all my time talking about this.
Listen, it's you know what? I think this is fine. I actually like that the conversation went like this, Flav, instead of giving our takes, because I think everybody knows where you stand and I stand, and we can go round and round. But I think, again, we just did it with Steve-O, and now we're doing it with you. Like, getting to know the person behind the name in the chat, at least I hope, brings real life and some realism to it. So like, hey, chill out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I always say this is what, this is the motto. Like, this is the motto of the channel, which is challenge the take, not the person. And that's the way that I would like to see it. Don't get personal with people. There's no reason to.
Right. I will just say, I don't understand how people who thought Jamie gave us the better chance to win were wrong. That I think we were proven right on that. But other than that, man, all the other stuff, I'll call in next week and we'll get to the
We'll hash it out. We'll hash it out. Let's go.
Save the last spot for me next time. So if we go over, we're
okay.
Good.
All right,
buddy.
That's perfect. All right, Flav. Talk to you
later, man.
Later. That's funny. I knew we would disagree, and that could go for hours. We know how those debates go. Here's what I was saying, Flav. Here's what I meant, just so I can clarify. It's okay. Like, we may find out that Trey Lance is a bust, right? And then you would be right. Or whoever said that he's a bust or whatever would be right on that. However, that doesn't make Jimmy Garoppolo a good quarterback, right? Like, both could be true. Trey could end up being a bust, and I would be wrong about that. And Jimmy wasn't a very good quarterback, and I would be right about that. So it's like, hey, we land somewhere in the middle. So that's all I was saying. But good call, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad we were able to do something different there. And hopefully people respect you as a person more and each other as people. All right, real quick before we get to Michael, Mike drops with Monster says, Flav is hilarious, but he's pretty cool. Yeah, I agree. He's a nice guy. Bam Bam says, who believes Brock Purdy can carry a team for 17 to 20 games in a season over a 10-year period? I think that's what it comes down to. Like, do you think that he's a franchise guy or will be? I mean, there's no way to tell for sure. I believe that he's not going to be that guy, but that doesn't mean that he can't win now. Those are two different things. He could win now, and he could also not be the franchise guy. Like, both can be true. So I think anybody who confidently says that he is that guy right now off of this sample size, I don't know if I can take that take seriously. Anyways, all right. Michael and then T. Let's go, Michael. What's up, man? You're on mute. Just unmute yourself real quick.
Okay, got it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. How you doing,
How you
man?
doing, brother? Awesome, man. Just hearing your shows, hear it every single morning or as much as I could, Definitely a
Thank
big
you,
fan
bro.
of you and Kruger and Grant for sure. I was actually laughing the other day. It kind of gave me a little scared because when Kruger came out talking about the whole little situation he had with Ryan, for a second I thought it was with you, I was like, oh shit! I was like, no, because I like when you guys come out together, So when it kind of cleared up and it was like, no, Ryan, I was like, okay, cool, not Jesse. So I was a little tripping off of that one right there.
No, Larry and I have had some good disagreements, but we've always managed to keep it even keel. You know what I mean? What happened there was crazy. I hope that they can figure it out for sure, but that's between those gentlemen. I like them. I love Ryan's slowly becoming a really good friend of mine. Like, I really dig Ryan, and Larry and I haven't become really good friends by any means, but I really have liked my shows with Larry, and I'm going to be on with him again tomorrow as well. So hopefully they can figure it out, but no, definitely not me. I don't think you'll ever see that on camera, friction with me and somebody else. I think we would handle it off camera if we got to that point, but we would see.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like you said, like all four of you guys are like my top four people I like listening to. You, Grant, Kruger, and Ryan.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Now, but on top of that, man, like I say, just going off it, like, what made you a Niner fan, bro? Like, was it you were grown into it, or you just kind of,
Yeah, it was so for me it was my dad. My dad was from California. He was a 49er fan. So the age of 6, I started rooting for the 49ers. Actually, I didn't really know what was going on. I mean, 6 years old, you don't know what's happening. But I do have this distinct memory in my head where I was rooting for the Chiefs during a game because they were wearing red and I thought it was the 49ers. And my dad had to correct me. He's like, no, that's not the 49ers. The 49ers aren't playing in this game. And so that's a memory that I do have. My first memory, like trying to root for the 49ers, was when I was 6, but I thought the Chiefs were the 49ers. So there you go. Hey, I see your little one. What's up, little? Hey, what's up?
My daughter, she's all very. Say hi, Abby.
She's shy, but she was waving. She was waving.
Yeah, she's all waving right now. Now, same thing. I grew up into it, bro. I mean, the earliest memories I have is the Timber Tays, the Sean Hill, going through the dark ages. So when a lot of rival fans try to talk about, oh, you're just a fan because of Joe Montana, and I'm like, hey, I wasn't, around in those years. I still can remember Sean Hill, Timber Tay, and just going through all those bad times.
Absolutely. Timber Tay, though, I mean, he had a hell of a college career. I mean, that dude was set a lot of records.
He actually really did. It was pretty impressive. But I mean, it translated over into the NFL, fortunately. But honestly, man, like a takeaway and everything like that, what do you feel would be like our biggest downfall, like for the season? Like, what do you think would actually like just make everything not go the way that we would want it to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to health, really. It's what's interesting about the 49ers is a lot of the areas that we've grown accustomed to over the years of having depth. We don't necessarily have that depth anymore. The defensive line, the depth is not what it has been. And I think we just assume like, oh, we're deep on the defensive line. It's like, not like we have been. Cornerback last year, we had a lot of depth going into training camp. We don't have that depth right now unless somebody steps up. Now, if a couple people step up, of course, we can regain that. Linebackers, another position where, I mean, losing Aziz is huge. He may have only been on the field, 30, 40% of the time, what have you, but that kills your depth. So I think a lot of the depth, and it's hard to replenish that depth when you've spent your high-end picks on Trey Lance and CMC. So those are a lot of picks that you're trying to rely on to replenish that depth, and you just haven't been able to. So that's where it gets interesting. And that's not all positions. They definitely have depth in other areas, but injury, man, that's always the number one fear as a 49er fan, right?
No, which I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, like you said, go back last year, our defensive line depth, I mean, even though we had it, bro, it wasn't the same as it was previous years, I mean, like that really affected us in a lot of games, even though we had a good season last year. But yeah, no, I agree 100%. But the thing I am looking forward to this year, the secondary, especially with our new defensive coordinator, I feel like it's really going to complement just our linebackers and our defensive line and all. So definitely looking forward to that.
I definitely, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. We've been working so hard to get defensive line back. And even though the depth may not be there in the linebacking core and the defensive line core, I think this is one year where we might get elevated play even better than what it was last year, which it was pretty good last year, but we might get, at least out of the starters, elevated play from the secondary. And that can be enough to maybe make up for some of that lack of depth. So I think more in tandem, we can be confident from the back end of the defense forward. And that might be a good little change for the 49ers. So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully, man. And another question, bro, like, do you sell your merch online, like through your YouTube or like?
Yeah, and so merch is a tough one because it's hard to find good quality merch for one, and two, I think what I'm kind of known for, at least from a merch standpoint, would be my hats. Like I've got crazy amount of hats, right? You see them all behind me. I got like 30 of these things. So hats is like my thing. So if I was going to sell anything, it would be these. But The problem is the company that makes these, I'd have to sit on a ton of merch and then ship it out myself. It's not like something that I could go direct sell through this company. And it's just, I mean, that's such a side whatever. And I don't really care so much like to make money off the merch. It'd be more because a lot of people do dig it and I've had questions about it, but it's just a lot of extra work, man. So I don't know. The merch game's a whole different ball game for sure.
Oh, for sure, brother. Well, hey, I mean, it was great talking to you, man, and definitely looking forward to your guys' show tomorrow. And last thing, I don't care what Grant Cohn says, man. I know he's an undercover 49er fan. I know he denies it all the time that he's not a fan, but you could just tell the way he talks about the Niners, the passion he has for it. I know for a fact he's a Niner fan. He just doesn't say.
Hey, Michael, I'm going to pull you out, but you call in anytime, man. That was a great call. I loved your energy. And I'll say this. We've definitely had that conversation backstage early on in the process. I was like, all right, man, come on. Like, this is a shtick, right? Like, you're a 49er fan. Like, tell me, just level with me. He's not. Like, he really, here's one thing that I love about Grant. And I think you've seen it throughout the course of the Kinlaw situation, the way some of the things played out. I won't get into details. Grant is a shrewd businessman, and he knows how to get people talking. He knows how to go about running the business, and he knows how to make money, and that's what he's about. And he does that better than anybody in this game. And that's why a lot of people really like doing shows with him. That's why a lot of people, look up to him as a mentor in this game. He's just different. He's different. But I unless he's lying to me also, he's not a 49er fan. But that was a great call, man. I appreciate you calling anytime. All right, we're going to go to T, then Sersky, then EMA Beats, and that's it. And then we're done. Although I see Ryan in here, unless he wants to call in. Maybe I'll let Ryan in because, Ryan's my guy. Okay. Let's bring in T, see what he's got on his mind here. What's up, man?
Jay, what's up, baby?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm all right. Fantastic. Hey, Lance is back.
Hey, I love it, man. I definitely love it. I loved his confidence in that presser. I loved how loose he came into that situation. I love that he did look like he should. He should have looked better than Sam Darnold, or at least early on, because he has a grasp of the offense. And
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Like I know, like he had a whole nother vibe. Like when he was talking to Grant earlier, when he was like, "Man, I don't know if you noticed, but I that was one of the first things I picked up. Like I picked up his body language and like how confident he was, and like, I mean, to say it all, grabbing the bull by the horns. That's what we wanted Lance to do. Hey, bro, all the nice guy and all that, that's cool. The brother is my teammate. That's all fine and dandy, bro. Being a professional, but like you gotta have a grittiness to yourself, bro. And you gotta come in and grab the bull by the horns. And I that's what he's doing now. Like even in the few videos I've seen, like even training camp yesterday, like him jumping in front of Darnold and putting Brandon Allen and them guys to the back, grabbing the ball first, telling them, "Hey, Kittle, nah, come back, let's run this play again." Like he wasn't doing that before.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's interesting because, and Brock did a great job of that, but Brock was in a different situation. Brock wasn't expected to do anything. Brock fought for everything on this team, and Brock had zero pressure. There was nobody that was going to come in and replace Brock Purdy. Once the waiver wire stuff cleared, which was 1 week after he came in, that was it. He could play freely, and he did that. He did it to the best of his ability. He did a fantastic job, but it was a different situation. And so now Trey kind of has that same situation in front of him where it's like, hey, I'm not expected to be the starter. I really got no pressure. People already think I'm a bust around here. That's fine. No big deal. Guess what? I'll come out and I'll be free mentally. I'll play free physically, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm with that. And I'm happy for the whole situation. And it's a few points that I kind of want to disagree on. Like I've been listening to a few callers and just everybody, like me personally, everybody fan a little different. Me personally, Jay, you know how I feel. You know what I'm saying? You really know how I feel. And like, I'm all for the team. But at the same time, if the team's not getting the quarterback position, particularly the Trey Lance position, it's not about being racial or being the fan. The fan base is split because this organization split the fan base by not deciding the guy. And when you drafted the guy, he should have been the guy. This fan base would not be split if Jimmy Garoppolo was gone from day one after we drafted Trey and he started. Everybody would have backed this kid up like they did. And all of a sudden, they fell off I don't know what happened. They fell off. Brock came. So, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I fan a little different. And I'm for the team, but I'm not for the team. I'm not just for the team for the sake of it. Like, I don't care who's the quarterback. Actually, I do. I really do. I really do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like Brock. Sam, I don't really care about Sam. This is between Brock and Trey. You get what I'm saying? If Brock ends up being the guy, yes. But I want Brock to be the guy if Trey is not the guy. Not just a bunch of people saying that he's a bust and he's not it. Let's see it first. Let him fall on his face. If he falls on his face, then he's good. But until then, bro, I'm not going to accept and I'm not going to respect anything that this organization do until they get that right with Trey. That's how I feel personally. I know everybody else feels different. You, like a lot of people, but me personally, as a 49er fan, my whole life, bro, I don't like the situation with that. You get what I'm saying? And the only way they make that right is if they let this kid play and let him ball out, grab the bull by the horns, or fall on his face. That's it.
I'm with it. I'm with it. And that's, it's interesting because I don't know if you saw the video I put out the other day, but it was basically just talking about being a fan, being a real fan of this team and what that means. And also not trying to tear people down who have a difference of opinion than you. This thought that, oh man, if you don't fall in line with everything the 49ers do, then you're not a real fan and you're this and you're a player guy and whatever, man. Guess what? Like, I have a preference too, who they want or who I want them to play. I'm always going to give my opinion on that. It may differ from yours, and that's fine, but I will do my job as a fan, which is one thing and one thing only. For those 60 minutes, when that game is being played, whoever is on the field, I will root for. Outside of that, I'm going to have my opinion on who I want to play and if the 49ers are doing the right things. Because guess what? As a fan, I've earned that right. So there you go.
You're right. Hey, Jay, you know what? Look, bro, you doing good, man. Keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. I love you, bro. Just keep going hard in the paint, bro. I'm super excited, dog. That's all.
I appreciate it, T. You can always call in here. Thank you so much for the support, brother. I'm going to get you out of here. I got a few more. You have a good night, okay?
That's good.
All right. Hey, T, man. He's always got a good energy about him as well. He's a passionate fan, though. I love it. I love passionate fans. Steve-o, bro. I couldn't leave your comment up on the screen, the middle part, but yes. Well, I don't know if Trent's still tipping plays. No games have been played, but the end of last year, yes, he was still tipping plays, and I know that makes people mad, but it's factual. It was there. All right, we'll go to Sersky, EMA Beats, and then we're going to close it out for real this time with I don't know who this guy is. Just brought him up on screen for a second. Maybe you've heard of him, Ryan G. Hensley. We'll go to him last. Up, Sersky.
Jesse, what up, bro? What's going on, man?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good, man. I can't complain, man. Man, look, man. I'm gonna present this to everybody from a common sense perspective because obviously it's not a knock on anybody who called up here tonight. It's not a knock, but I just gotta call it what it is. This fan base has to have more of common sense instead of being naive. And I agree with the caller that just came on. The fan base is divided because of what Kyle Shanahan and the organization did. When they drafted Trey, they should have got rid of Jimmy, and then all of this that's going on right now wouldn't have happened. But this is the thing, Jesse. The fan base is naive, and I'm a 49ers fan, but I just got to call like it is. This fan base is naive because Jimmy Garoppolo came here in 2017 and won the last 5 games, correct? And they gave him a contract, And what result came out of it? Yes, we did win games with Jimmy, but what did he do in the playoffs? He had 6 INTs and 4 TDs in 7 playoff games. That's not going to win you a Super Bowl. That's not going to beat Patrick Mahomes if we have to play them in a Super Bowl. That's not. So they got rid of that problem, and they got Trey Lance. So now that Brock Purdy comes in, Brock Purdy plays the last 8 games, and now people is doing the same thing. They think Brock Purdy is this, Brock Purdy is that. Only after 8 games. 8 games is still a sample size. And people forget that Brock Purdy had 6 to 7 potential interceptions that was dropped last season. So people are not realizing that. I'm like I said, Jason. I'm coming in here with common sense. I believe Brock is a good player. I believe Brock is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and he can perform this offense better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But I'm still not sold after an 8-game sample size because, one, we don't know how Brock is going to be when he comes back this season. We don't know if he's in game shape. We don't know how he's going to be after this injury, because this was a major injury, and if you rush him back, you're going to end his career. So I mean, and then on top of that, defenses wasn't studying Brock last season because he just stepped onto the field last season due to injury with Jimmy. So defenses are studying Brock this offseason. So this is what I'm saying. If Brock Purdy is the starter next season coming up, if he's all the way healthy and he can still perform that same level of play, now that defenses know him, then I'm sold. I mean, the only way I'm gonna be sold if he plays a full season, healthy, free, and he's still balling out. That's the only way I'm gonna be sold. But the thing is, man, when you have a guy like Trey Lance is the type of quarterback that the NFL is bringing into the league right now. They're not bringing in guys like Brock Purdy. I mean, you looked at it in the Super Bowl. You saw Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, 2 dynamic offenses who Trey has the same traits as. Not saying that he is a Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, but he has those athletic traits like them. And when you see that Super Bowl, you need quarterbacks like that can make your offense dynamic. Now, like I said, I'm gonna be fair and I'm gonna have common sense about this. I don't know what Trey is gonna be neither. I don't know. But what I do know is that Trey Lance is younger. He has a higher upside. He came from a system that's very similar to Kyle Shanahan. All the kid need is to play and get reps. If he does that and be that player that we all thought, then the picks won't be a waste. It won't be a waste. But if he's not that guy, then you can move on to Purdy. But when you give up those assets to get Trey, you gotta at least let Trey battle it out with Brock and see who's the guy. Because we've been looking for a quarterback that can get us to the promised land for how many years? So you got 2 good quarterbacks in the room. Why not have them battle it out? If Brock wins it, cool. If Trey wins it, cool. But I tell you this, you cannot you cannot go into this season and not give Trey a chance after all the access you gave up, bro. You just can't do it. You just can't do it, man. And that's all I'm saying. People is going to have to quit putting the cart before the horse. Just because Brock Purdy played 8 games and we went to the NFC Championship game doesn't mean that he's that guy. He's not, man. Y'all gotta calm down on that, bro. Like, for real. Like, let the guys battle it out, and whoever wins it, let's roll. But come on, man. Like, let's be real about this. I don't know what Brock is going to be next season. I don't know what Trey going to be next season. But you gotta let those guys battle it out. And that's the most common thing about this. But you gotta give Trey a shot. And people on here bashing Trey Lance without giving any context. Jesse, I promise you, bro. Ever since Trey Lance been drafted, I have yet have anyone who called Trey Lance a bust give out any context. People always talking about, oh well, Trey Lance couldn't do nothing in the monsoon. Well, it was a monsoon, of course, but Deebo Samuel throwing the ball in the red zone. The 49ers had over 100 yards worth of penalties. You cannot win, no matter who's the quarterback. And people want to say, oh, well, Trey Lance is a bust because he do this, he couldn't do that. And then on top of that, they say, well, Trey Lance always hurt. Well, we have all 4 quarterbacks got hurt. Every quarterback that played within these few years has been hurt. Jimmy's been hurt consistently. Trey Lance has been hurt. Brock Purdy got hurt. Josh Johnson got hurt. So y'all can't put that on Trey either, bro.
Yeah.
Like y'all gotta chill out with this, man. Like y'all is just calling Trey Lance a bust without giving any context. If you can come to me and give me intellectual context of why Trey Lance is a bust, I will respect you. I will, and we can have a conversation, and we won't be going back and forth. But until then, somebody needs to come on your show and give out intellectual context of why Trey Lance is a bust. Because you cannot call this kid a bust after 4 games. You just can't do it. The Buffalo Bills did the same. The Buffalo Bills, look at Josh Allen. It took Josh Allen how many years to get right? 4 years?
Well,
I think it
3.
was
I
3
mean,
years.
he had basically 2 full seasons, and year 3 started to hit his stride. Yeah.
He's starting his stride. So I mean, but y'all over here saying Trey Lance is a bust after 4 games, bro. Trey Lance got 5 touchdowns, 3 INTs, over 600 yards passing, and over 100 yards on the ground. Now that's a tiny sample size. It is, but that's promising. It's not like Trey stepped out on the field and had in his career right now he has 3 three uh 3 touchdowns, 5 INTs, below 600 yards passing and 50 yards rushing. Now that's crap. That's garbage. But that's not the case. The stats that he has right now is promising. And if you give Trey Lance a shot, he can build off that. And that's just something I believe. I like Trey, I like Brock, but we can't be crowning people right now without seeing a full season of both of these quarterbacks. So let the best quarterback win, and whoever we ride with, we ride with. But y'all gotta stop this, man. Y'all gotta quit hyping Brock up after an 8-game sample size. Let that man play a full season and see how he play. Then we can make that judgment. But other than that, that's all I got, Jesse.
Thank you, Sersky. I appreciate it. I'm going to pull you out, but I'm going to respond real quick to something because I think you're right. I mean, I think as long as you have the stance, which is what you had, which is we don't know about Trey either. Okay, it's way too early to say anything about Trey, but it's also way too early to know for sure about Brock. I think that's a fair place to be. What's not fair is to say that what either of these guys are. If you're going to say what one of them is after an 8-game stretch or what one of them is after a 4-game stretch and then have the opposite take on the other guy, that's where things don't line up. Like your take has to be the same on both, So, I mean, I think that's the most reasonable take. I guess your take could be the same on both and saying, hey, I know what both these guys are. Trey Lance is a bust. Brock Purdy's a stud. That's I don't know about that one. That's a weird one to stand on. So for me, that's not the route I would go, but I guess that would meet the criteria as well. I don't know, man. And I'll say this. The 49ers replaced Jimmy Garoppolo after going to a Super Bowl. They drafted his replacement and then were willing to start Trey Lance after he had gone to an NFC Championship game. So he went to a Super Bowl and then an NFC Championship game, and they still replaced him. They still didn't feel like he was good enough to get him over the hump. They felt like they needed something better than a guy that did that. Brock Purdy played great last year, but I know everybody likes to equate and say, well, Brock Purdy was undefeated. First of all, he's not undefeated. He did have a loss regardless of how it happened. But if it's all about wins, what did Brock Purdy do that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't do? What did this team do with Brock Purdy in the postseason that they didn't do with Jimmy Garoppolo? How many Super Bowls did they win? So if that's your criteria, then I'm going to poke holes in it and say, well, if it's about wins and that's all that matters, the stats, none of that matters. It's just about getting wins. Then at least wait until he wins a Super Bowl. If he would have won a Super Bowl last year, then crown him, sure. That didn't happen. So let him win a Super Bowl this year, or at least put together another really good season before we say he is for sure one thing. I think that's a fair stance. Anyways, EMA Beats dropped out. I don't know what happened. So we'll go to Ryan. See what's on his mind. What's up, Mr. Hensley? What's up, Mr. Dink and Dunk content creator?
What it is.
I was laughing pretty hard at myself when I threw that one out there on Twitter. I thought it was good comedic timing.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. It's what I need is more attention drawn to the dink and dunk situation. I do have an issue with you because of the way you were just talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, and that kind of talk's not going to be tolerated. Flav was on my show, educated all of our listeners that Steve Young was actually the best quarterback the 49ers have ever had since Steve Young and Joe Montana, and the only reason he's gone is because they didn't want to pay him. So whatever you're talking about, I'm not going to accept it.
All right, fair enough. I mean, Flav has spoken, I guess, about Jimmy Garoppolo. So interesting.
Yeah, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. It was nice to get back to the call-in show. I was unable to do it last week. Had a really good show with Grant. And yeah, man, I'm enjoying it. But Brother Bob says #checkmate, just so you know.
Oh man. Stuff is hilarious, man. Yeah, I noticed you were on Grant's show. I watched that, and then I came over to your program. 2 shows, 1 guy.
2 shows, 1 guy. Wow, that's sketch, but I like it. I like it.
Oh man, I don't know what I really didn't. I wasn't planning on calling in. I was just gonna listen. I like all your callers, man. They were top notch. But
they were good, right? Like, okay,
yeah.
And I've had some shows that have been really good. I'm not going to go as far as say this was the best one because we had a call-in show. I want to say it was like right after the season that was like everybody knocked it out of the park. But tonight everybody killed it as well. And it's just sometimes you just know, like you're in a flow state. And tonight I just really felt like, man, everybody brought their A game. It was a really, really good show, and it's because of the callers. They did a great job.
Yeah, we kind of like we did a call-in show on I don't know what it was, Tuesday. I didn't plan it or anything, and TC was on that as well. I honestly I should clip it and post it because he was spitting fire. Yeah,
he's passionate, isn't he?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and everything.
Did you hear my conversation with Flav tonight?
No, I missed that. Was that in the beginning?
No, it was a little bit. You were in and out of the chat, but it was right. I think it was right before or like 2 callers before TC, something like that. It wasn't too far before TC. Go check it out. It was actually really good. We didn't really talk 49ers at all, man. It was nice because I know you feel the same way I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, being a content creator, like we put ourselves out there, so we got to expect it a little bit. But some of the stuff that we get in our DMs is, I mean, we share screenshots. It's wild, right? Like the way people get so reckless as if they can't be touched blows my mind. So that's one. And Flav, I know, has strong opinions. And even though I wholeheartedly disagree with him, I don't like that he gets personally attacked. And that we just kind of talked it out a little bit. And he got to show for 5 minutes his actual personality. We didn't even really talk football. And I think a lot of people in the chat were like, wow, Flav's actually kind of a cool guy. Yeah, I know. A lot of people are if you give him a chance.
Flav's actually growing on me. He's actually a really likable guy when he's not talking about football.
I feel it, right? Like it's a major disagreement when we come to football talk for sure. But outside of that, I think he's actually probably a pretty nice dude.
Yeah, pretty nice guy. Yeah, no, I saw on his Twitter he's selling Flav hats. So I don't know
that's
those are
freaking
going
hilarious.
I saw that he's selling Flav hats. I thought that was interesting. Got the logo on there. Yeah, fire stuff.
Listen, I will say this, Flav for not being a content creator has done a hell of a job. He's got the logo here in the chat. He's like the only guy that's got like his own logo. Now he's selling hats. I bet you people will buy that hat. I guarantee it they will. That's funny.
Yeah. Man. Good luck to him. Yeah, I mean he's making a name for himself just being the guy with the crazy quarterback takes and unlimited bank account.
I love it. I love it. Hey, well, that's good. You guys got a good little bet going on, right? Like the Ronnie Law jersey.
Yeah, and I had my followers vote on who was going to win that bet. Right now, I think Flav has about a 4% chance of winning that bet based on the survey. And if I win, I get like it's like a $400 jersey. I hope he knows that. And if I lose, all I have to do is put him on my show. It's like don't tell him, but I probably would have put him on my show anyways, just to talk about his crazy quarterback takes. But hey, I'll take the bet.
The one thing I'll say about Flav is a lot of people don't like him, and so people will hate watch him. So if you put a show on with Flav, people will gladly tune in to hate watch him. I guarantee it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I probably would have done it anyways, but now I might get a $400 Ronnie Lott jersey. Most likely, I will. So
and then you'll still have him on.
Yeah, I'm kind of the king of this betting shit right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of undefeated right now. 187. I see him in the chat. He's probably gonna lose $20. Here's the thing: 187. Me and 187 bet that he thinks Brock's gonna start week 1. Did you guys notice in the press conference? You know, the goal obviously was week 1, and Brock was like, "I'm not on any timeline," right? And then Kyle was like, "The goal's week 1," but he actually talked it back a little bit. He said, "What I've been saying and what I've been trying to explain to 187 is that being 100% in week 1 doesn't mean you're ready to go play football week 1." And Kyle Shanahan said that 187. So start pinching those pennies, buddy, because I think you're going to be paying me as well.
I'll say this: you would be the GOAT of betting if you win all 3 of these bets. That would be pretty legit.
I'm pretty sure I am. And then I got another one, Larry. So Larry also said he's going to be traded before week 1. I don't think that's happening either. So I'm about to be 4-0 in bets, guys.
Well, hold on though. Hold on a second though.
Mm-hmm.
You might win those bets with Larry, but unless y'all repair whatever happened there, you're not going to be able to cash in on that pig in a pickle bet.
Here's the thing. I can feed myself. You know, I work from home. I got a fridge full of groceries. It's more of the principle of the matter.
I got it.
Yeah. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe we'll work it out and I'll get some pig in a pickle.
There you go. I love it. What do you got going on the rest of this week, bro? What you usually do another show? What, Thursday, Friday? Friday.
You know, I did one today, which is unusual, but Friday at noon, and I was actually I put out a tweet and I asked for your hot takes and predictions. I got a bunch of them, and I'm just gonna go through that tweet and we're gonna go over them. And I need a really good guest who can just show up. I don't know, like if there's a guy that might be able to make it. I know he has a busy schedule, but I don't know. So I'm gonna keep looking.
Yeah, well, I heard there's a town a couple miles that way that has a bunch of good content creators. So I would check them out.
All right, I'll keep looking. Hit me up if you can make it Friday, man. I'd love to have you back on. Everyone likes, you know, I did a vote I did a vote on my channel who's their favorite guest of mine, and it was you. So whenever you can come, if you can make it Friday, I want you on Friday. But if you can't, I understand.
I would love to. I don't know if anybody got the reference. That was a Dumb and Dumber reference. Maybe there's some people that are as old as we are and they would get that reference. I don't know. But either way, Ryan, thank you for closing out the show the right way. I appreciate you. I know that I kind of put you on the spot and made you call in, but I knew you would do it if I threw it out there. So I appreciate it.
Well, my pleasure, man. Thank you.
All right, bro. Have a good one. I'm going to try to make it on Friday. I don't know if I'll be able to. Just depends on what's going on with work schedule. It's always like in the middle of the day. But if I can schedule it around a lunch break type thing, I definitely would love to go on Ryan's show again. Definitely love chopping it up with him. I got a couple super chats though. We got Justin coming in. He says, would Trey restructure a team-friendly deal if he starts moving forward since he didn't play his first few years for his rookie deal? I don't know. I mean, I get the feeling, this is impossible to know, but I get the feeling that if Trey Lance was the starter, that he would do something similar to what maybe Jordan Love did, where they didn't do the 5th-year option, but they gave him the option, depending on how well he plays, to make more money. And it was it was actually a good deal for both of them, potentially. I could see Trey Lance doing something like that, but if Trey Lance isn't playing, obviously his desire is to play. So that would be a 0% chance, I would think, unless he really means that he loves being here and he doesn't want to be anywhere else, which that's all great. But if he ain't playing, he's going to want to play, and he would deserve a chance to go play. So I think it all just depends on where he's at. But yeah, I think in your situation where he's kind of moving forward with the team as a starter potentially, yeah, I think so. I don't see why not. Flav says, Jess, I meant to ask you, what does Trey need to do this season for you to pick up his option? If Trey is good in 3 years, it does us no good because he won't be here. Yeah, I mean, I think that in order to pick up his option, he would have to be the guy that you would forecast as the starter next year. So however that happens, right? That can happen through he starts week 1 and doesn't give up the job. That could happen through Brock Purdy maybe just not being the guy and the 49ers give up on him. And so they turn to Trey at the end of the season and they think he's the guy next year. However that happens. But if he's not going to be the guy next year, if they don't foresee Trey Lance being the day 1 starter next year, and that is not the plan, do not pick up the 5th-year option. There's no point in doing that. That would have to be the only scenario. So he has to be the guy. Going into week 1, he would have to be the guy next year. And if they don't believe that's the case, then don't pick up the 5th-year option. Let him go. He also comes back and says, Ryan likes to talk about me when I can't respond. I'll be on his show soon, though. Once I win the bet, guaranteeing it's Ryan's best ratings ever, too. Maybe. Might be, man. You're kind of like Floyd Mayweather in his prime, where people tune in to hate watch him and hope that he loses. I feel like that's kind of Flav. That's what you've turned into. So I love it. Big City Man says 15-2 this year. Love that prediction. I don't know, 15-2. That's if they're 15-2 with this schedule and this travel. Damn. I mean, it's a good team. It's a really, really good team. So I appreciate it. That is all for me. It's a little past midnight here on the East Coast. Much love to y'all. Peace. I will be back tomorrow with Larry Krueger on his show. Later.